Eruvin Daf. Today's email comes to us from Ari Bloom from the UK. Hi, R Eli. Just a quick email to say that now I have another reason to thank you. You see, this week is a Time UK's Shasathon. This year, of course, rather than learning together under one roof with a big seal, we're all having to learn at home on our own. I chose the first Min Daf of Eruvin, and I get to do Chazara of Yeshurim and laugh at those jokes a second time. And yes, I'm still following the Daf, though it's usually on Torah Anytime or YouTube. And I can now say that I missed a day and carried on. It's always great if you miss a day to carry on and not to be a perfectionist. Kol Tuv, Ari Bloom. Thank you, Ari. Starting a brand new parak, B'chol Ma'arvin. You can make an Eruv, whether it's Eruv Chatzeros, Eruv Tchumen, from all foods, chutz, besides two, water and salt. Because an Eruv needs to be something that nourishes the body. Water and salt are not considered something that nourishes the body. The Mishnah tells us a very interesting halacha. You could make an Eruv out of food that you yourself can't even eat, or you yourself can't even get to. For instance, a person who's a Nazir, who has to abstain from wine, can make an Eruv out of wine. If a person is a Yisrael, he can make an Eruv out of Truma, even though he can't eat Truma. Sumchus argues and he says a Yisrael can only make an Eruv out of Chulin. A Kayin can place his Eruv in Beis HaPras. That's if they plowed over a grave and it's unknown, perhaps there are fragments of bone scattered all over. A Kayin should not go 100 amma within that grave, yet he could place his Eruv there because he has a way. He could get on all four and blow the dirt until he gets to his Eruv. Rabbi Yehuda says he could even place his Eruv in a Beis HaKvaros. There's a way to get in there. You can get in through a helicopter. In the time of the Gemara, it was called a Shida Teva Migdal, some sort of box. Make a mechitza. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan holds that when there's a clear-cut rule in a Mishnah, many times you find that the rule was broken. Even in a place where it says the word chutz, where it's much stronger, where the Mishnah is telling you what the exceptions to the rule are, nevertheless, even those exceptions to the rule can be broken. The Gemara says, obviously, he wasn't standing by our Mishnah saying this rule, because he wouldn't say even in a place, rather he would say even over here. So where was he when he was talking about this halacha? A number of options. Perhaps the famous Mishnah in Kiddushin, mitzvah sasesha zman grama, a mitzvah that's time bound. For instance, sukkah, lulav, shayfer, women are potter. Question is, what about matzah? They're chayav. What about simcha and yantif? They're chayav. What about hakel? Every 7 years you have to gather with Hamikdash to hear the king on a podium read from Chumash Devarim. Women are chayav. So it's an exception to the rule. On the other side, if it's a mitzvah that say shaloy has man groma, it's not time bound. Women are chayiv. So why are they potter from Torah and Pruruvu? You see, the rule is meant to be broken. A zav, a person who has an emission from a disease, if he carries something on his shoulder, it's a yoynishal zav, becomes tummy. And the rule is that if he sits on something, it's always tar chutz if he sits on something that's designed to be sat on. For instance, if he sits on a pail, you could say, get up, I need to mop the floor, so it's tar. Question is, we forgot one thing. There's something called merkav. Why you said the word chutz besides, but you forgot merkav. Merkav is on a saddle. There's a handle called a tfus. That becomes tamei as merkav. Rules are meant to be broken. And in our Mishnah, you find the same thing. It says you can make an eruv with everything besides two foods. The Mishnah failed to mention two other foods: truffles and mushrooms. Rules are meant to be broken. If you mix the water together with salt, then according to everybody, you can make an eruv out of it. Why? Because you could dip your bread into the eruv. Meiser sheni, that is, first you take truma, then you take meiser, then you take meiser sheni. It's 10% of whatever is left over from the produce. You give it to yourself. You have to bring it up to Yerushalayim, eat it in Yerushalayim. What if you can't carry it? You transfer it into cash. You bring that cash up to Yerushalayim, and with the cash you purchase food or oil for an ointment. What kind of food can you buy with it? Machlokes whether you can buy salt water. Now, the salt water we're talking about is salt water that one of the ingredients is oil. And the big chiddush is that even though there's oil, you could buy water and salt, even though you're paying for the water and salt. And why is that? Because it's called havla. It's swallowed in. We pretend that you're paying only for the oil, and the salt and the water come as a freebie. In fact, you are paying for the salt and water. It's just swallowed in there as you're pretending. Like Ben Bagbag says, the pasuk says, what can you buy with Meiser Sheni money? Bakar Tsar and Yain Sheikhar. Ben Bagbag says, each one comes to teach us that even though there's some extra there that typically you can't buy, for instance, the hide of an animal, you can't go buy hide of an animal with Meiser Sheni money, yet if you buy an animal, the hide comes as a side benefit, a freebie. Tzayin, you can get the wool for free. Yain, you can get the barrel for free. Sheikhar, temed means it's temed, you take water, add it to the sediment, and you get temed. the water is Bahavla, even though you shouldn't be buying water, but it's just Derech Hagav. Rabbi Yochanan says something very interesting. He said, whoever could explain to me why the Torah had to say the word bakar, I will carry his clothing to the bathhouse. In other words, I'll be his Talmud. And in fact, nobody was able to explain it. What was Rabbi Yochanan's Shiloh? He says, if you read the pasuk straight, Babakar, okay, so it teaches us that you could get the hide for free. Hide is attached to the body. I wouldn't know wool, because wool is not attached. You could just shear it off and the animal will keep on living. So it tells us wool. So wool, but I wouldn't know a barrel. Barrel is completely detached. So it says barrel. Barrel, but I wouldn't know temet. But let's work our way backwards. What if the Torah just said temet, sheikhar? I would say sheikhar means something that makes you drunk. There's a fig that can make you drunk. It's called kilis, the fig from kilis. So that's why the Torah had to say kilis. But what about a barrel of wine? Okay, so a barrel of wine also. But if it says barrel of wine, I wouldn't know wool, so it says wool. But now that the Torah says wool, I know obviously that hide is something I could buy with my training money, because hide is part and parcel of the animal. It's a lot better than wool. Therefore, whoever could explain to me the word babakar, I'll carry his clothing to the Beis HaMerchatz. The pasuk of Meiser Sheni starts off with a generalization, then a specification, then a generalization. It says, "V'nesato hakesef b'chol asher tave nafshecha." You could buy anything you desire, and then the Torah specifies bakar, tzoin, yain, sheichar. There's two ways we can learn this pasuk: klal, prat, klal, or ribuy, miut, ribuy. They're very different. Klal, rather klal, the prat comes to explain the klal, and it's very limited. But a ribuy, miut, the miut only comes to exclude one item that's similar, but doesn't come to explain. So therefore, the Gemara tells us that if we learn it as a ribuy miut, it comes to exclude one thing. So according to Rabbi Elazar, it comes to exclude fish brine, and according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish, it comes to exclude water. But according to both of them, you could purchase fish, actual fish. But if you learn klal rather klal, according at least to our daf today, the Havamina, so it comes to tell us that it has to be similar to the prat. And the prat is something that nourishes off the ground, that eats from bakar, they eat grass, or it's born from another animal, born from a seed. Therefore, fish, they eat off the ground in the ocean, so they are included. Or you could say no. It comes to say that just like bakar was created from the ground, so to anything else. Fish were not created from the ground. Fish were created from water, therefore will come to exclude fish according to that brisa. Have a wonderful day.